Hello, hello everyone. It's me, Arden Lee. I am back today with another video, and today's video is on how to take constructive criticism. Now, constructive criticism, especially when it's coming from a knowledgeable source and it's given with love and the desire for us to improve, is something that can be really necessary, sometimes even critical, to our own self-improvement or the improvement of our work or our projects. And yet, there's a lot of ways that our brains are wired to reject criticism of any kind because of something called negative bias. Now, I have a talk on this channel about the mechanics behind negative bias. It's a chat that I had with my friend Harris O'Malley, who is also known as Dr. Nerdlove. So if you want to understand a little bit more about the mechanics of negative bias before you watch this video and why our brains are programmed, why we're biologically wired to remember and even get defensive or upset by anything that we perceive as being negative about us, go ahead and watch that video first to bring yourself up to speed. But in this video, I'm going to talk about how we can start to look at constructive criticism in a new light so that we can actually use it to be able to feed our growth and our improvement and look at it for the positive thing that it is. So before I get into that topic, as always, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel or like my page. And also, if you're not yet familiar with me and my work, my name is Arden Lee. I'm the creator of the Repatterning Project, which is an 8-week course on belief hacking, happiness hacks, reframing our mindsets for success, happiness, and abundance, getting those last couple of internal hacks that are keeping you from your greatest potential. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and check out the description box where I have a link to a free PDF guide about the Repatterning Project so you can learn more about the mechanics of what it is that we do and what we teach. And I also have a link in the box to a Facebook group that I moderate called the Repatterning Parlor, which is a group full of like-minded individuals so that you can get support on your journey, social support, so that you can surround yourself with people who are in the same mindset as you are, who also want to work toward their personal growth, their self-improvement, their happiness, and their self-actualization. So go ahead and check those things out. And if you do join the group, say hi and let me know where you found us. All right, so let's talk about constructive criticism, right? As I mentioned, our brains are wired to have these like little alarm bells go off when something negative comes up. Oh no, somebody doesn't like us. Somebody thinks that, somebody thinks that we could do better. That means that we weren't our best already. Oh no, what does that mean, right? Because the short version of that is that it sometimes signals to our brains that that criticism, this idea that, even if it's given in a helpful manner, this idea that we're not already our best starts to signal to us like, oh, do people not like me? Does that mean I'm going to be ostracized from my friend group? And as you know, ostracism from our tribes back in our caveman days when our brains were developing their neurological wiring meant certain death. So someone saying something negative about you gives you that feeling because you're like, oh gosh, oh no, what if this is true? What if nobody likes me? What if, what if? All these things that back in those days could have posed real signals of danger to us. Of course, now we live in a society that is much, much different. We're not in a scarcity mentality around our tribes because there's 8 billion people on the planet, and if we don't fit in somewhere, we'll certainly fit in somewhere else. But let's talk about how some of those wirings that we still have in our brains from those days, so many thousands and millions of years ago. Let's talk about how we can get over that, how we can start to accept constructive criticism for the gift that it is. Now, first of all, you want to ask yourself, does this person who is giving me this constructive criticism know what they're talking about, right? Because if you're just letting anyone step up and say, hey, I think you should do this differently, then of course you're going to feel overwhelmed. Of course you're going to feel like someone who is stepping in who really has no no overall vision, no investment in your success, and no background to really know what they're talking about is just throwing all these words at you, and it can be hard to discern sometimes, well, should I incorporate that criticism? Do they have a point? Is this true? Is it meaningful? Is it helpful? There's so many people in the world who love to just give their opinions out, whether they're helpful or warranted or not. So that's certainly the first thing to ask yourself. And the ways that you can really discern who you want to listen to is there's two things, right? There's two people especially that you want to listen to when it comes to constructive criticism, especially about your work and your creative projects. One is someone who has already made it in the field that you're in, who's more successful than you are or more knowledgeable than you are, right? So if you're looking towards someone who is a mentor, someone who is already getting the results that you want, that is absolutely first and foremost the kind of person that you want to be listening to. You want to understand that what they're telling you is how to close the gap between where you are and where they are in their life or their career. So if they have results that you want for yourself, then that's how you want to start. You want to get over that negative bias, from hearing something that you may perceive as negative about your work, because really you want to reframe your mindset to understand that they're giving you the tools to make the leap over that gap so that you can be as successful as they are. They're letting you in on their secrets. So that's the one kind of person that you definitely want to listen to constructive criticism from. The other kind of person that you want to listen to constructive criticism from is your audience. If it's a work project, it's like, is this person buying from you? Are they likely to buy from you? Are they in your target demographic of people that you want to be working with as clients or as customers, right? So if they're people who have, let's say, like followed your band for a really long time and they have, some opinions on your music, that might be something that you want to listen to if there's someone who's really a diehard fan. If there's someone who doesn't even really like your genre, then it doesn't even matter what they say because they weren't going to listen to it anyway. And sometimes even your diehard fans may have ideas about what your path should look like just because they've been diehard fans for a long time. So even that you can take with a grain of salt. Another really great thing to do that you can actually shortcut around constructive criticism to begin with is to start asking your audience, what kind of things would you like to see from me? What do you think about this? If I had, 3 different options to create A, B, or C, which one would you be the most excited about? This is actually a great way to get that feedback first before you create, rather than making a product or a creative work of any kind and putting it out there on the market and then receiving that constructive criticism in reactivity to what you've already made. Start getting real intimate with your audience. Start getting real intimate with people who are buying from you, people who are following your work. Start putting up polls, hey, if I created a product around this, would you want to see that? If I created this, would that be something that you would be likely to buy, right? I'll give you a couple examples of this, right? A pole dance instructor who goes by the name Lux ATL recently polled her Facebook audience and said, hey, I think I'd like to teach a one-day workshop in any number of cities. So if you want me to come teach in your city, come in and vote. Let me know which city you're in, and I'll try and make that happen. That way, when she ultimately goes and teaches her classes, she's made sure that she's aiming them toward the locations where people are likely to show up, right? She's not just deciding, hey, I'm going to teach a workshop in this one city, and then going and teaching her workshop, and maybe if not as many people showed up as she had hoped, going back and saying, well, can you give me feedback? Why didn't more people show up to this, right? You're preempting what's going to be successful by asking the right questions. Another person who did this recently is, he does this all the time, is Alexis Van Esmancola, who is the frontman of an industrial band called Three Teeth. He has a Facebook group that's full of people who follow him and his work and his music. And almost every time I see him come out with new merch, he posts it in the group and says, hey, should I print these t-shirts? Will you guys be likely to buy these? Or he can print, more than one option and say, which of these 3 designs do you like best? That way, you're not wasting so much of your time creating something and then getting feedback in response to it. You're actually sourcing your feedback up front so you can create something that is in alignment with what your audience already wants. And finally, the thing that we really want to be able to to assimilate about constructive criticism is that if it is coming from someone who is more knowledgeable in a field or more successful in a field than we are, or if it is coming from someone who is invested in our work, in our products, and really wants to see us be the best that we can be, and is giving that feedback to help us, to get to that next level of our, where our success could possibly lead us, we want to start really framing it as such. Even sometimes if it's, not given with the best bedside manner possible. And an example of that was I showed my music producer the video that I made for the Poison Heart video, the music video that I made for my band Arden and the Wolves. If you guys aren't familiar yet already, I have a band called Arden and the Wolves, and we make sort of dark wave indie rock music. And we did a cover of the Ramones song Poison Heart. And after I had released the EP, my finances were so drained, I put everything into this album, that I didn't really have a lot of resources left to make a music video. So I decided to make one on my own, and I shot footage on my phone, and I collected footage from other people who had been following my work. I put out a prompt. I said, hey, I'm looking for footage that looks like XYZ, submit to me and you can be in my music video. And I had some really wonderful participants who came about and submitted to me. It was terrific. And I ended up, editing it all on my phone, and it still got, some really terrific publicity and some terrific reviews in the indie music blogs. Of course, I showed it to my producer, who's been incredibly, successful in the music industry for a long time, and I said, hey, what did you think of my video? He goes, oh, is that the one you shot on your phone? I was like, yeah. He goes, yeah, it looks like you shot it on your phone. And, I laugh about that. And I said, well, hey, I think, I deserve some credit, because I did shoot it on my phone, and yet it still reached this wide audience, and it had this message about healing and about, about trauma, about, the ways that our trauma can affect us. And I think it's cool. And it's also set to a Ramones song. I've never seen anyone do that before. And he was like, well, yeah, that is pretty cool. But, look, there's a lot of, there's a lot of film students out there who are really going to be able to give you a professional product, where the end result is going to look a lot smoother and a lot cleaner than the thing you made. And I want to see you succeed. So, let me know. I'd be happy to show you where to find people like that. So even if someone doesn't necessarily have the most graceful manner of giving that feedback to you, I really invite you to look for where they're actually invested in your growth. And if someone didn't care about your growth, in your personal development or in your creative work, then they might not be saying that at all. Now, if they're being mean-spirited, that's not constructive, naturally. But just because they're being blunt, just because they're giving it to you straight, doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to be mean on purpose. It's up to you to really discern, like, hey, is this person trying to upset me, or are they just giving me the truth, and so that they can, have me understand better where my next step is, right? So that's up to your individual discernment. You should be able to tell if someone is saying something in order to dig a knife in and hurt you, or if they're just, giving you the truth and then saying, like, hey, yeah, I think you have potential ways to be better here. So, and also, of course, you want to look for whether someone has a vested interest in your behaving in a different way, right? Of course, that's like a, sign of a narcissist video. Look that one up. If someone is just manipulating you to get you to behave in ways that are more convenient for them, that's not constructive criticism, that's emotional manipulation. So make sure that not only is what they're saying coming from a place of kindness, but also that it's with your betterment in mind, not just whatever is going to be convenient for them and their relationship to you in your life. So that is the trick to starting to reframe your mindset around constructive criticism, so that you can start incorporating it and use it for your personal growth. And believe me, when you find those people, those mentors who are successful in your field, you're not going to want them to just sit there and tell you what you're doing right all day long, because then you're never going to incorporate that positive change. What you want is for them to show you where your next steps toward growth are. So thanks for listening. Hope this was helpful.